Hey everybody, David here, and this is another Fantasy Age review. And we're going to be taking a look at, in this review, the TitansGrave, the Ashes of Valkana campaign setting. And this is the first campaign setting, one of many hopefully, coming out for the new Fantasy Age system from Green Ronin. Now you will know that Fantasy Age originated with the Dragon Age tabletop game, and that rule set has basically been made into a generic rule set. You can get the book, the PDF combo, on the Green Ronin website. You can get all of the PDFs on DRIVETHRU RPG, and this is the core book. This is the Fantasy Age core book, and you are going to need this book or PDF with all of the rules to play TitansGrave. Now, as you guys know, TitansGrave is a sci-fi setting that was basically thought up by Wil Wheaton, and he has recently, within the last couple months, had a series on his Geek and Sundry channel, and his group of adventurers have gone through this whole Ashes of Valkana campaign setting. Now, there is a lot of differences between what you have seen if you have watched the Geek and Sundry videos compared to the campaign setting. There's a lot of content that is in this book that his group did not get to basically see because of time constraints, and they just only got to play, I think, for 4 days. So in the TitansGrave Ashes of Valkana, you'll get a lot more than what you actually saw in the videos. So excuse me. Now, the book is a hardback. It is just at about 100 pages, and like I said, you're going to need the Fantasy Age core book to play this. This doesn't have any of the rules for Fantasy Age. However, it does have the additions. So we're going to go ahead and take a look. The book was made in Canada, and TitansGrave was put together by Green Ronin Press, which is by Chris Pramas and his crew, and they've done a really bang-up job, not only with Dragon Age, but with Fantasy Age and the Ashes of Valkana as well. Now, there's 10 chapters in this book. Like I said, it's right around about 100 pages, little less than 100 pages. And the first section is, the first chapter is basically the history of Valkana, talking about how, the night fell, the cataclysm happened, how the prophet, rose to power, and then how there was the Chaos War. So it talks about a very vague part of the history for Valkana. I wish there was a little bit more history that was in depth instead of just a couple pages. I think there could have been maybe a little bit more done with the history, but you got to take into consideration, everybody. I think they started writing this game and the fantasy setting, the Fantasy Age rules, I think around March or April. So, and the book's already out. And the books are pretty much sold out, both the Fantasy Age core book and the TitansGrave book. But you can still get the PDFs. You can get them from Green Ronin. You can get them through DriveThru RPG. So, but the books they've been really hot. I'm glad that I was able to get my copies. I pre-ordered them. But like I said, they only had about, I would say, probably about 4 or 5 months to actually work on this. So, but I would have liked to seen them do a little bit more with the history of Valkana. But that's not to say, hey, maybe they'll have an entire setting book come out with nothing but more locations and whatnot. Now, the cartography for Valkana is beautiful. I really like it. However, I will note this. You really cannot see the locations on the map, and even you can download the free PDF map, very large resolution, beautiful. It is still hard to read the actual locations on the map. Yes, there are locations on the map. They're just, as you can see over here, it's a very light color that mixes in with the continent. So all of the locations are really hard to see, and you really have to blow the image up to see these images. So I wish there would have been a little bit different, little different take with the cartography, but nonetheless, the detail in the cartography is really nice. Now, there's 3 major sections that they're talking about in TitansGrave. It's the city, state, and Astora is the first one. And, what is not more awesome than to have a map flushed out with 90 locations? 90 locations! I mean, there's 10 outer city locations, and then there's 80 locations inside of the city. What what kind of game master or dungeon master doesn't love this? But when you turn the page, you're kind of let down a little bit because there's only 10 locations talked about. That was actually that was kind of a downer. I'm going to be honest with you. I was expecting to see pages of all of these locations giving me all kinds of plot points, all kinds of information, because now if I start writing this material, something else is going to come out down the line and totally overwrite anything that I do. So I wish they would have taken a little bit more time and flushed out the city-state of Nestora, because this is the only large city map that they actually did in this campaign setting. But I would have loved to seen this fully fleshed out. I'll be honest, I was actually a little disappointed on that. They talk about the city-state of Karis, and each one of these, the city-states, Vorakas as well, they talk about the people, notable citizens. It talks about, the major locations of the area themselves. And then it talks about, rulership. Now, Chapter 2 is basically the rules updates for the basic rule book. And, of course, this is sci-fi. And so it adds, first off, it adds on the Saurian race, which is like a reptilian or serpent type of race. They were the dominant race that was on Valkana, basically until the night fell and the cataclysm happened. And then, pretty much all hell broke loose and whatnot. So there's some class modifications to all three of the classes. You're basically going to take away powder weapons, which are not used in this game, but powder weapons are in the Fantasy Age core book. You'll exclude those, and they add in a bunch of laser pistols, laser rifles, sweepers, stuff like that. So really good. It goes into great detail with a great equipment section, some new talents, some new ability focuses like computers, a lot of piloting for ships. It talks about the batteries and all of the different equipment that uses the batteries, how many charges, how long a charge of a battery lasts. It's really nice. The equipment section is really well done, and my players actually really love the full-gen batteries. They really do. Now, the rest of the book, chapters 3 to 10, is basically the adventure. And there is a lot of art on every time you turn the page, there is art. And multiple pieces of art. And the book is beautiful, everybody. The adventure is very well written. It is very organized. And what I mean by organized is, in Fantasy Age, and this goes back actually to Dragon Age, how they label the encounters one of three ways. They label an encounter as a combat encounter, a role-play encounter, or an exploration encounter. And I'm so glad that they kept that concept with Fantasy Age and into TitansGrave. I'm so happy that they did that. Because when you see something like that as a DN, you can kind of get your brain in a mindset for, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then everything is so organized. All of the NPCs, any kind of monsters are going to be fully statted. It has the appropriate art that goes with the section. This guy's name is Hulsick. He's basically a dwarf tax collector for the bridge. And, you can show your players what Hulsick looks like, what the bridge looks like, with the corresponding area. Everything is really nicely done in this TitansGrave book. I've had a chance to look at it. I'm super impressed with it. I'm really happy, especially, like I said, for the amount of time that they had to do this, they knocked it out of the park. They really did. And I'm pretty critical on adventures. I usually am. Now, you can see, there's more art, more creatures, and it just goes in. And this is really nice because, nothing drives me more crazy than me having to look up a creature in the back of a book that I'm in. Why not just list it like this, or like in D&D 4th edition, and just have the creatures with the corresponding area? It's the same amount of pages. I just don't get it. It has a lot of great role play in this game as well. And in fact, most of the scenarios are role play. and exploration. So it seems like they're really trying to get away from combat-heavy games and classic types of dungeon grinders. Granted, yeah, there's a place for those, but this is definitely a great story. I've read it. It's really good. You know, more monsters, and you guys can see, you know, it's all the way through the book. Art, it's really nice. And, you know, a couple of what I do want to talk about the art. The way that they're actually representing things, you know, tunnels, rooftops, roads. That's really good. And this is just one. This is a chase that you're going to have to do. Your party's going to have to do a chase, and it's. I really like how it gives you, because you're going to have to chase through all of these areas. And I'm not going to go into any spoilers, but yeah, it gives you a nice map. You can kind of, you know, show your players. You could, you know, even scan that kind of. You could probably even modify a little bit with Paint or GIMP or Photoshop. But, you know, as long as you know, guys, you can see every page is art, all beautiful sci-fi art. Another great map here. Hey, look at that mech. I know you'd be scared if you came up with something like that with 6 guns blazing at you. Nice puzzle, nice riddle. Really good there. A lot of creatures, you know, a lot of interaction with NPCs. I really like it. Mansion Network. I really like this, sort of like the Fate system. Art on every page, guys. I mean, it's really good. Your group will definitely like this. You know, then where the adventure stops, you can it basically talks about expanding it, but they're going to be coming out with another campaign setting, probably a part 2 of this, because it does end in a temple. There's some, you know, some other chaos stunts in here that the creatures are going to do, not for the players, but, you know, for the creatures. And you know, it's actually a really good book. I'm really happy with it. I think they've done a good job for the short amount of time that they've had. There's some characters at the very end. These are the characters that were actually in the Geek and Sundry game. And oh wow, look at this, guys! There's even a map of Valkana in the inside of the cover. There's even a map. Look at that, a fold-out map. That is awesome. That was unexpected. I wasn't expecting that. And you know, when I opened up the book for the first time, I didn't even see it. It took me a second time of looking through it to find it. Guys, great book. $25, only 25 bucks. It was $30 for the book and the PDF at greenronin.com. Guys, TitansGrave's good. This is just part 1 of the Ashes of Valkana. They'll have more come out. I really recommend getting it. Fantasy Age is a great system. If you've played the Dragon Age game, you'll love TitansGrave. Same thing, but sci-fi. Some rule additions on top of what's in the core book. Easy though, guys. It's totally easy. Lots of tutorials on the website that I have, YouTube channel. Check it out, guys. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the physical review of this. Please feel free to leave a comment down below. And also, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And until next time, guys, I am David, and happy gaming, and I'll see you then.